Hello and welcome to another Beard Clipper video. This is the third as I collect together all the build clips of me putting together the farm for Rosie's model railway, for the Poppy and Sam model railway indeed. This has been such a wonderful build. Making things for Rosie is the best thing ever, and I really enjoy doing it, and I hope that comes across in this video. Please do let me know what you think in the comments below. I do reply to all of them and I do love reading them, yeah, I'm not sure whether this will be the last one, and then the rest of the detailing that happens might come on later on. We'll see how it goes, but for now this is basically as far as I've got as I stand here recording this intro. So I'll stop rambling now. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again at the end. So a little bit of shaky cam for some footage for the model railway. As you can see here, we have some fences in packets. I've been waiting for these for a little while. Now these have arrived, I will be able to put these around the front of the house, so along the edge of the road, with the gate here, and also fence off the rest of the fields. This will be hay, so I'll be using the hay. I have been thinking a lot about the tunnel, and I am going to do a lift out section, but I'm just working out how I'm going to do it. So my current thought is that I'm going to glue these end pieces in place where I want them to go and fill them in, so the lift out will be the front of it only, because I think that'll be a little bit easier for me to do. So what I'll probably do is build over the top to about halfway and then have the front bit lift off, and that's the idea. So yeah, not very much happened actually on this week. A lot of thinking, a lot of planning, and then yesterday these arrived, which means now what I'm going to do is I'll get them primed and painted, and then when that's done I will get them put in place around the farm, which will be really cool and will really define the space. Of course, that does mean that I'm going to need to finish off the scenicking, so putting these in place might even happen after the tunnel, but we shall see. Onwards very slowly, but it is going to get there eventually, I promise. So rather than just sit and stare and think, I want to get the tunnel done, I'm going to actually get the tunnel done. I had a lot of comments on the vlog last week, how good this is looking, but frankly I'm disappointed at how slowly I'm going. So then I've just had a comment from Mike from Paint to Life, who's saying really pleased with how it's looking. And that, along with several other comments on the blog, have prompted me to come out here now while I'm waiting for a build. I am technically at work, but I can't do anything, so I'm going to start from now to really push onto this and get this tunnel done as quick as I can, so that I can then build over the top of it and finish off the farm and get that video done, because I am collecting these together into one video, which is taking a lot longer to get to than I hoped. So the first thing I'm doing here is I'm just using a little bit of neat PVA to hold these in place. It's not what I'm using to secure it, but it's more just so that it's roughly in place, so that when I start working around it, it will be enough, it'll be stuck in place enough that a slight knock won't jar it. That will dry over the next couple of hours, and what I'll be doing then is building up over the top. So the plan I've got is to put foam over the top to probably about halfway or 2/3 of the way maybe, and then have a section that I can remove here so I can get in and clean the tracks with the track rubber, but then I can put that back on again and it will look good for Rosie, who'll be enjoying seeing the trains coming through here, and still being able to go into the darkness of the tunnel. Thank you very much for the comments as well on the vlog to encourage me on that. That's really useful, and I do listen and take account. So I need to let that dry now, and then I'll be able to come in with some white foam and just start to build over the top, which shouldn't be too much of a difficulty. And then once that's done, I'll do a little bit of modelling compound just from the bottom of the wall down here, and then also just to build up a little bit of a slope up into this tunnel on both sides, so I'm not worrying so much about this side. So yeah, so a little bit of modelling compound, and then I'll be able to finish off, paint the wall, and do the field and the fences, and done. It's easy, isn't it? I mean, there's hardly anything left to do. Alright, so it's time to do a little bit of modelling compound. So as I've said, what I'm going to be doing is coming along and just building up a little bit of a ramp there, not too much, but just a little bit, and I'm going to smooth it down quite a lot, just to both hide the slightly scruffy bottom, but also it's going to come along and help support the bottom of this tunnel mouth. So I'm going to get that done, and when it's done I will then be looking at doing the over the top of the tunnel, which may even happen tonight. I'm suddenly feeling a little bit more inspired than I expected to be based on how tired I am today. So I'll just get this done. This is basically using up some spare modelling compound from another project, and I hate waste, so just going to use it. So yeah, little bit by little bit, very, very slowly. See, this is why I need the modelling compound, because I'm clumsy. Just absolutely smacked that with my hand and knocked it over. So let's build some modelling compound up behind it, and that should then mean that if I do that again it doesn't matter. What a klutz. Right, there we are. So I'll smooth that out, maybe mix some more up in a minute and come back and do some more, but for now that's the spare that I had all used. Right then, it's time to do the tunnel, and I have a really good idea. Well, I think it's a really good idea. Hopefully it's going to work. So today, Rosie finished up a sheet of paper that she uses. She's been doing lots and lots of painting because she's awesome. And this is a bit of backing card from the back of the pad. So it's nice thick cardboard, and it does have Rosie scribbles on it, if you can see that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make use of that to put over the top of the tunnel and build on top of that. Now this isn't going to film very well just because it's night time and it's dark, and I've actually got the light to help me rather than the filming, so I might stop filming and actually do it. But basically I've got a pencil. I'm going to draw a line here to the edge of the tunnel, and I'm going to come along and draw another line at the back to the edge of that tunnel, and then I will then cut out that shape. Okay, and that will be the top of the tunnel. What I'll then be able to do is split that in half, stick one half of it in permanently and have the other half so it sits on top, and so it's separate, and that will be what I'm able to lift out, and then I'll be able to build the terrain over the top of that without having to worry about it falling through or what have you, be able to make that really, really solid. So I will stop filming now because I think it's going to be a bit difficult when I'm kind of like contorting myself to get in and do what I need to do, and I'll bring you along when it's ready to be glued in, and you can see what it looks like. I think it's going to work. It might not. If it doesn't work, then I will have to think again. So that's worked, which is nice. Well, it's worked so far anyway. So what I've got is I've got the cardboard shape on top with a little bit of Rosie scribble. I didn't draw the shape in exactly the right place to get the Rosie scribble, sadly, and that sits nicely on there. And what I've done is I've cut out this bit of foam and shaped it so that it wedges in underneath and follows the contour of the rest of the layout roughly. And so what will happen is when this will sit in, I will cut the cardboard in half along here. One half will be glued to this, the other half will be glued to the top of the tunnel ends, and then that will be sculpted in. Now the only thing I'm not sure how I'm going to do is actually make it so that it's quite smooth on top. That could be the biggest challenge I have. What I might end up doing is having a fence going along, but that would probably be a bit odd because it'd be halfway across the tunnel. So I'm not sure. So I think I'm going to, for now, leave it to think about it for a bit. I'm very pleased with that progress. I've been thinking about this all week, working out how to do it, and I'm very pleased that that's going to work. The other thing that I will need to do is I will need to continue the brickwork along the inside, because you can see in through the tunnel entrance, so I'm going to need to do that as well, and I need to do that before I do any gluing down, obviously, of the back half of the tunnel top. But yeah, at least there's some progress there. There's also a fair amount of cleaning on this track needed, because it's got a modelling compound all over it. But that's why I'm doing this. It's so that I can get in here and do the track cleaning without having a problem. And I'm very, very happy with that idea and how it's worked. And thank you ever so much to all the viewers who have made suggestions and inputs on this. Matt, hugely gratefully received your input. And as you can see, I've tried to listen, and I think that's going to work. So yeah, all I need to do now is work out how I'm going to actually do this as a smooth. What I could do potentially is do this all as one, and then only cut it after I've got it made. But that might not work either. I'll have a think, and I'll bring you along when I get to that and show you what ideas I've come up with. I spent an hour today, no exaggeration, an hour, priming up these fences for the model railway. So they need to be painted, which is probably going to take another hour because it's basically the same thing. But yeah, that's one pack, and I've got 4 more packs to go. So I'm probably just going to go with what I've done there, see how far I get, and if I need more, then I can always prime more. But I've got 1 gate as well. So this is going to go around the farm, and I will probably need more of these to go around. That's actually the farm building, obviously, to go around the fields. So yeah, but a little bit of progress, pushing onwards. Okay, so let's make a little bit more progress. I'm still mocking up how I'm going to do that. I had a very good suggestion from Chris in the comments on the vlog, so I'll probably be following his suggestion, to be honest. But in the meantime, what I've done, as you can see, is I've put some more of the bricks on the inside of the tunnel. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start to paint the tunnel. Paint the bricks and the tunnel faces as it happens. And I've got this paint here, which is my Africa, which is a kind of purpley grey type colour, which I really like. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to paint that all over all of the bricks. And then I will come back after I've painted this colour on it, and go over with a dry brush with red. So this is basically going to both seal and put a nice standardised colouring across, and also it will be the colour that the mortar will be. So it's a good idea to do. This is how I like to do my mortar. I know other people do it a different way, but this is how I like to do it. So I'm not going to film all of this because it will be a little bit dull. All I'm going to be doing is painting this colour. But once I've got this done, then I can start to actually fill in and do the tunnel, which is a really big step. So yeah, more progress on the model railway. I'm just going to start rolling on this now. I really need to do a little bit, at least a little bit every day. So the Africa has dried, as you can see, and here I've got the red paint that I really like to use for bricks. I think it's going to be really, really nice in this case. I do need to get some more, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to have a very dry brush, and I'm just going to come across and dry brush it all. Now it might seem pointless having done this because it was red underneath anyway, but it does mean that I'm going to be able to control and make it look a little bit more aged, as you can see. And also I can paint the bridge the same colour, which is going to be important for me. So I'm just going to get this done. It's quite late in the day now, and I'm not far off heading to bed, but this won't take me long. So I'll just run the camera, I think, maybe put some music on, and I'll get this done. was about 5 minutes of work, which isn't too bad. I will look at that again in the morning. It's patchy at the moment. It may need another coat of the red, or I may just mix it up and do some different colours. I don't want it to look too clean. The rest of the build is going to be very clean and stylised, and I want this to be a little bit more realistic in terms of weathering. So yeah, I'm pretty pleased with that at the moment. And as I come along and do some more like scenicking around the base here and cover up this areas with grass and what have you, it will look a little bit better as well. So yeah, I need to get this done because then I can start to finish the tunnel area, which is what I'm really driving for this week. So I've joined the cool model railwaying kids now. I've ordered some copy decks, which is pretty awesome. So what I'm going to do now is loosely glue in place this top of the tunnel. I'm happy enough with the colour that I've got inside the tunnel, and I don't need to worry too much about that now. And what this will mean is this can dry. I've got a couple of hours until I can get to this later, so this will be able to dry for a couple of hours, and then I'll be able to build up the area above it, which is very exciting. So just lay that on there and leave it. So yeah, the tunnel is taking shape. So the copy decks have stuck that down securely enough. Not massively securely, but securely enough. It will be much more secure once I've got the rest of the terrain in. And what I'm going to do now is do that. So I'm going to make use of a technique which worked very well for my Smaug's eye diorama, and I'm going to make use of cardboard, and I've got some masking tape here, and I'm going to build up a little bit of a rise over the top here, and I will worry about matching up to that as well. So we'll have a relatively flat with a little bit of a rise over the top. This probably will end up being replaced eventually, but it's going to be fine for now because polystyrene is not going to be hardy enough. I probably need to go for XPS or something. So it's going to be quite noisy because I'm going to be tearing paper and sticking it down. So I'll pop some music on and I'll build that up, and then what I'll do is once I've got that to roughly the shape, I'm going to put a skim of the modelling compound over the top, and I'll probably mix up and do a little bit more kind of around this area here as well. So yeah, I'll pop some music on and get this done. Well then, there we are. The tunnel is scenicked. Well, scenicked, the tunnel is sculpted. I'm not sure how well that came out because I was working on this side as well, but as you can see I have filled in the gaps around the edges here as well. And yeah, if we come round here and look in, you can see it's pretty dark, but you can see that there is the wall does continue inside, which is basically enough. And yeah, I'm over the moon. So I'll let that go off, and then tomorrow what I'll be able to do is come along with more of this colour and paint that over it, and then I'll be able to put the on top of here is where the hay field goes. So this is where there's the scarecrow. The Scarecrow Secret is the name of the book. So the scarecrow will be up here. So just to make sure that this dries nicely, and then yeah, we can paint on the rest of that colour and then finish off this part of the build. Fantastic. I left that overnight, and that has dried enough for me now to be able to come along with the same grout mix as I've used everywhere all over this, which I'm going to use everywhere all over this for this kind of like sandstone effect. And I'm going to paint that on. So yeah, I won't run the camera. That's all I'm going to be doing, is painting on this this grout. I might need to mix up another mix. Didn't want to do too much. And then when that's dried, then we can come along, work out where the fences are going to go, which I'm still painting up, by the way. And then we can put the fences on and start to do the actual crops that are going to go up here. So anyway, there we are. It's really good, this, just trying to do something every day. That is the way to achieve things. Just a small amount every day. I mean, this is going to be all I'll do today, and it will take me no more than 10 minutes from starting the mix to finishing the painting. So there we are, bit of productivity. So that's all been painted with the grout mix, all the way around there as well, and on the top. And as you can see, I've also made some progress painting up the fences. So I've got 4 lengths plus a gate that have been painted on both sides and will now be ready for fitting. And I've got another 4 or 6, I can't remember exactly, that are primed but not painted yet. So I'm just doing them in little batches, just in my evenings. It's a bit of a dull and awkward and annoying process, so it takes some time. But yeah, so I think the next thing for me to do actually is not finishing off the grass and what have you up there, but working on this bit here, I think. So I'll be doing some modelling compound along here, and then basically finishing this texture all the way around, stain up the sign, glue that in place. I'm currently debating whether I put it up on legs like this or not. I will probably talk with Angela and see what she thinks, get her input. She's got some good ideas. It's always worth asking those sorts of things. And then just try to scenic all the way around the outside, probably including the road, because then I could do all of this in one go with the static grass, rather than doing it in patches, which will just make it look nicer anyway if I do it all together. So yeah, really, really, really good progress at the moment. Just a little bit every day. That's the way to get things done. Next thing for me to think about and do on this is the bridge. So I've just been stood here for a little bit, fiddling around with little bits of foam and foam card, and I think I've got something worked out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make use of this black foam to do the bridge, actual bridge bed, and it's going to come off from here, and it's actually going to slope slightly downwards, and it's going to go down to this white foam here, which is going to act as the support. So this is going to be roughly where the bridge is, and the white foam will be roughly there. As you can see, there's plenty of clearance. I've put the little train underneath, and what I'll do is I'll put some sides on this and then stick it in place, and that's what I'm going to do this evening. So I'm going to get that done and get the white foam cut, the black foam cut, and get it stuck in place and weighted down, because then tomorrow I can come along with the modelling compound and I can finish off the rest of this. I've done loads of modelling compound without filming, just because it's, you know, you've seen it all, but it goes all the way around the back now, and I've done all of this side, apart from I can't do here because I'm not totally sure what I was going to do with the bridge. So yeah, so I'm going to get this cut now. I've got an idea of what it will look like, and I'm probably going to just paint that. I'm going to hand score some bricks in, but I'll bring you along. I'll show you what I've done with that when I get it done. The other thing that I have been working on today a little bit is actually I've got the rest of the fences painted of the first pack, so there's a bunch more fences there ready to be fitted as well. And as you can see, I've started mocking out where they're going to go, but again, I need this bridge done before I can really start working, finish off the modelling compound and then start working on doing the rest of the texture and then get the static grass out. But yeah, so let's get this bridge made. So I've glued this and weighted this down, so leave this overnight now and then I'll come along and finish off the scenicking for it. Underneath there is the black foam. We can just see it poking out here at the end. I'm going to do a very, very simple bridge here. I might even carve it to look like wood. I'm not sure, maybe not. But I'm going to leave that to dry and then I'll decide tomorrow. But there we are, that's the next step of this done, which is really, really cool. Okay, so what's going to happen now is I need to do the brickwork on the inside of the removable tunnel. So I've rolled out some of the air drying clay, and what I'm now going to do is come along with the same green stuff weld roller, roll that texture in and then glue it to this section of the foam, and then I can come in and paint it and do the same technique as I did for the other bit. So there we are. Spread some glue on and then carefully pick this up. Carefully being the operative word. I've rolled it very thin. Maybe too thin. If this doesn't work, I may have to roller it out again. All about just being gentle with it. There's a bit of a tear in it, but that should be okay. This is going to be inside the tunnel. It just needs to give the correct impression that there's bricks there rather than white foam. There we are, that's big enough. So what I'll do now is I'll come along with my cutting tool and trim that off and then leave that to dry and then paint it and what have you. So yeah, cool, there we are, next step done. So I've worked out what I'm going to do for the bridge, but the first thing I need to do is scar it up with my with this metal scraper, which I should have done before I stuck it in place. So I'll just quickly get that done. Won't sound very nice. Yeah, I should have done that before sticking it down because it would also have helped the adhesion, but it's been all right. So what I've done is I've got my roller out again and my air dry clay, which I'm really loving on this build. It's proven to be a really good solution for a lot of these issues that I'm having. So what we're going to do is we're going to put some PVA on, as I always do, to stick the clay to the base. As I say many times, just remember, clay is not itself adhesive. So once we've got some PVA on there, maybe it's a little bit too much, you can scrape some off, it'll dry. I have got my green stuff rolled roller out and I have done cobblestones, which is what I've decided I want to do. So I'm going to stick the cobblestones onto the bridge, and when that's dry, then I will be able to come along and put the sides on and put the rest of the scenic around it and kind of blend it in a bit. So yeah, I will trim that off with my cutter tool, which I've left in room 13 because I'm forgetful, and then let that to dry as well, and that will look really nice, I think. So it'll come from a dirt track to a little cobblestone bridge and then dirt again here. So yeah, quite happy with that idea. So just now, this evening, it's Wednesday evening I think, I have just finished doing this batch of the modelling compound, going up there past and up to that corner. So that's all that I'm going to do for now. The next thing to do is going to be painting on the colour, so that grout colour, which I'll do probably tomorrow, hopefully if I get time, get all of that covered over, and also paint up the bridge. As you can see, that's in nicely now. Going to paint that grey. So yeah, and then I'll be able to start doing flocking, which is really cool, because then I can do the fences and hedges, and then it's done. So this little thing of just trying to get out here a bit more and doing a little bit, not huge amounts, but just a small amount very regularly, is really, really working, and I'm making some really good progress now, which is awesome. So last couple of days I've done a little bit and a little bit at a time, and now I've got to the point where all of the modelling compound is down that I want to do on this stage. Now I did stop a little bit before I was planning over here, because I'm considering putting a house here just to add a little bit more interest. But what I'm going to do now, I've got my grout mix, which there is a link in the description below to how I do that, but it is basically grout with a bit of sand that I pick up in my back garden, quite a lot of PVA actually, and then just a dash of water, and that is now going to be painted on over the entirety of this area, so from where I'm stood here all the way around to over there. So I'm going to get that done. I'll pop some music on and speed it up massively, so hopefully it might be a long clip, but I thought it'd be quite nice to see it develop. So I'll get this mixed and then start painting. The next step is to do the walls that are going to go along the edge of the little road bridge. And how I'm going to do this, I've had a couple of thoughts. I think this is the one that's going to win. Is I've got some cardboard, just pizza box that I've cut up, and I've got that to the right height that I want and to the correct length. So it's going to be quite a high wall, I think. I might cut it down, I might reduce the height of that, but the technique that I'm going to use is making use of a very small cobblestone roller, and basically I will roller this out, and then that, if I can pull it up without destroying it, because I've done it very thin deliberately, there we are, then that can be glued to one side, and then I can do the same on the other side, and then I'll be able to stick that down in place in situ on the actual layout, and then it will look like a stone wall. So that's my idea, and I might end up putting some small capstones on top as well. So I'm going to make sure that I have the correct dimensions. Having looked at that, I think it might just be a little bit too tall, so I'm going to sit that next to a car and check it out. I'll get one of these done, and then I'll bring you along and show you how I'm going to actually make sure that this stays on the layout. So here we are over at the layout, and you can see that what I've done is I've folded over the top, and I've put a bead of PVA along the side of the bridge, and that now will secure itself fine. And what I'll be doing after this, when this is dry, is painting this, and that will also add an element of security. But this is one of the times where when you're making something for a model railway, as opposed to wargaming, you can afford to be a little more casual with how secure you think things are going to be. So that's going to work really nicely. I'm very, very pleased with that idea. So what I'll do now is I'll get the other side done, and then let that go off overnight or for the next couple of days until I come to paint it. One other task that I'm going to be doing ongoing over the next week or so, it's going to take quite a long time, is I need to paint the sleepers, because they're black and that's not correct. They need to be wood coloured. So what I'm going to do probably is I will be using I'll probably undercoat them or prime them in grey, and then come along with Vallejo wood colour and paint them up. I'll come back with an update once I've done a bit of it at least, and see what it looks like and show you that. But for now, that's just going to be an ongoing thing, which I won't really bring up in videos because it's just going to take quite a long time to actually get done. So there's no point in here I am painting again sort of thing. So that's going to be ongoing. So this is dried nicely now. So what I'm going to do is come along with some black paint and paint the cobbles and the walls black. I'm doing this before I do the actual roadway, because then I can cover up any mistakes I make on the black with the white grout. So what I'll be doing is I'll be painting this on, letting it to dry, and then coming along and dry brushing with grey and various other colours. But this will take a little while to dry, so I may not get to this tonight. You may also be able to see underneath that I have started the process of priming the tracks. I did a little bit of that today, and I'll keep on with that process. And then once they're all primed, then I'll come along with the wood colour that I'm going to use and paint the tracks. A couple of these itty bitty tasks that have appeared out of nowhere and are now kind of slowing me down a bit. I was really hoping that I would get the static grassing done this evening, this being Saturday night, but that's just not going to happen. That's just fine. Just carrying on. I mean, I want the thing to be right, so I'm a little bit behind my aim, but because I've done other things rather than because I haven't worked on it, so that's fine. So I'll get this painted up and dry brushed, and I'll bring you along for the next step when I get to it. Probably will be the static grassing the next thing I film, because everything else is just going to be kind of like getting things done that are half done now. So yeah, happy with how this bridge has turned out though. I think it looks really, really nice. Right then, so the bridge is done, and as I say, I've done a little bit of the priming on the ties, but that's going to be an ongoing thing. What I'm now looking at doing is the static grass. So I've got my little drawing here that comes from the book, and what I've done is on the top, it's probably not going to be very visible, but I have drawn a pencil line where I want to have the hay. So this area here is going to be the hay field, and the rest is going to be done in the same green. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start that process, which I'm very excited about. I'll be doing all the way around here over to the back over there. This little white section I'm going to do as rock. We're going to do that as a rock face. So yeah, so I won't film it because it's going to be the same as the previous clip where I used my static grass applicator and the static grass from Geek Gaming, but yeah, the next time you see this it should look a lot different. And once this is done, then I'll be able to start sticking in my fencing, though looking at the picture there's actually not all that much fence shown on this drawing. Just like by the gate, it's not focusing very well, just by the gate most of it's hedges, but what I probably will do is fence it all and then put trees and hedges around it to give a little bit of interest. So anyway, so I'm going to get stuck into the static grass work now, and I'm particularly excited about this. As the sun sets out of the window, I thought I'd quickly show you how this looks. Isn't that brilliant? I am so pleased. Now I've not done any hoovering yet, so it's still a bit messy. There's a lot here that will be hoovered off, and I'll come back and do another application, see what gets dragged up by the hoover. But basically we have all of the grass. I did that just before Rosie got home from school today, and she hasn't seen it yet because she hasn't come this way this evening as it happens. But that means that tomorrow I'll be able to get that hoovered and tidied and maybe the next little bit done. And then what I've got to do is this top bit here, which is going to be the hay field. So I'll get the short hay static grass and do that. But yeah, there we are. Isn't it wonderful and so lovely in that beautiful evening sky as the sun just dips to go over the and down below the horizon. So, great feeling. Well, there we are. That seemed like a sensible place to finish it up. A really beautiful view. I remember that strongly, that moment, and it was really, really pleasing to see the progress suddenly coming back on. And since then I have pushed on quite nicely, but it is a good place to stop. There will be more, so there will be another video like this. So yeah, look out for that in the coming weeks, whenever that is, I don't know. Because yeah, it's now the farm has slowed down. I'm picking up other parts of the build, but I will be finishing this off obviously, and I will pull that all together into another video. So if you've made it this far, thank you very much. Really do appreciate it. Do pop a comment below. I do read them all. I do reply to them all, and I do appreciate the fact that you put the effort in the comments. So do drop that down below. That'd be really cool. And I'll wrap up by saying, as I always do, thank you so much for watching, and please stay healthy, stay safe, and stay well.